Do you know the best questions or the right questions that you should be asking when looking to hire a contractor? Well, I couldn't be more excited for today's interview as I'm sitting down with Stan Schachne of Schachne Architects and Builders to find all that out and so much more. So without further ado, please welcome Stan. Hey everyone, so before we start, hit the subscribe button below for our YouTube page so you can get all the latest trends, design tips, information, and inspiration for everything home design and home improvement right here in South Florida. So again, subscribe now and stay up to date. Stan, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Adam. I really appreciate you asking me to do this. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. We've known each other for a while. You've been a
Yeah.
client. You're now a friend. I've seen your projects. You're from development to remodeling to really everything when it comes to the construction world. So there's no one better to ask. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. It's fun. We started out many years ago at the home show, especially during the recession times, and now things are turned around a little bit for both of us and in the economy, and well, not right now, of course, but it's great, and I'm glad that we always kept in contact.
Absolutely. So to start this off, tell us a little bit about Schachne Architects and Builders and really what you stand for.
Okay. Well, I'm a licensed architect and general contractor. My wife, Donna, who works with me, her background is interior design, first commercial, and she does a lot of our residential design work. She does a lot of the design work in the office. So we're basically a full service in-house architecture, design, construction company. We specialize in custom homes, house additions, renovations, remodeling, and commercial office space design and build out, of course. The majority of our work's in Broward County. I grew up in Coral Gables, lived in Broward County the last almost 30 years now. So we focus primarily in Broward County. We've done a few projects down in Miami for old friends of mine because they only wanted to use us. So we kind of trek down there and fight traffic, but we were very comfortable here working in Broward County. Our firm is about 25 years old this year. And we develop a process that ensures a quality product, an excellent service for the results that our clients want. We want to work with someone who's focused on the value of our services, both the design build services that we provide. Our core values are integrity, excellence, professionalism, and quality. And we try to adhere to that every day, out in the field, in the office, with our clients, everybody. Our goal is to provide design and construction services to enrich our clients' lives. And that's what we're here for. And majority of our work, actually the majority of our clients, about 80% of our clients are referral and repeat work. So really only about 20% of our clients comes from our web, people calling us from our website, or finding us somewhere on the web.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like, when it comes to finding a contractor, really anyone in any industry, it says more about, the fact that you guys retain clients and you have return clients as the majority of your business, but you've been around for 25 years. You have perfected the art of construction, architecture, design. So, that says a lot about you guys. But when remodeling and building a home, there is nothing short of stress and uncertainty. But for all the homeowners out there and people that are looking to get into a home improvement or an addition or build a custom home, when starting these projects, who do you call first? Is it the architect? Is it the builder? What can you tell us about that?
Well, there's two different processes in the industry. One is you hire an architect to design something for you. They do the drawings, the permit drawings, and you give it to a contractor to bid out.
Okay.
Or to bid with, or to build for you if you have someone in mind. A lot of people, it's really interesting, they think that they have to call the contractor first. Well, a good contractor will say, well, I need drawings because I can't put a cost together for you because I don't know what I'm pricing out.
Exactly.
So we get a lot of calls like that where people say, well, I need a quote on this. I'm like, well, what do you got? I don't know what they're doing.
Right. And they don't know what they're doing either. So
yeah. So it's real interesting. So, when I first started our practice in '93 as just an architecture firm, after about 3 or 4 years, I got tired of our clients saying, okay, well, you did the drawings. Now who's going to build it for us? And I was like, well, I don't know. So I went and got my master's degree in construction management, got my GC license, and then we decided to start providing design build services. In fact, we just last year, we finished a pretty major master bathroom and bedroom renovation for our very first client 25 years later.
Wow,
So
that's incredible.
So,
So were you redoing what you did years ago? After 25 years, they thought it was time to go again?
well, partially, because we partially did their master bathroom a little bit one time. And now they decided we're going to go full force. So Donna redesigned it for them, and it came out really, really nice. But you know, so the goal is for us, when someone calls us, we explain to them, look, we're both the architect and the builder. So we'll do the design, we'll do the drawings, we'll do the estimating, the scheduling, we'll do the permitting, and we'll do the construction. So it's all in-house. And you're only working with the people in our office. So people really love that because it's one-on-one attention. They don't have to be calling the architect who may be on vacation and then trying to get hold of the contractor who's out on the golf course. You know, we just don't know. So it really helps to keep it all under one umbrella, basically.
Absolutely. And things that I've seen before also is like the miscommunication between the architect and builder. It's not always feasible to build what the architect's drawing and
right.
You know, things like that. So, you know.
Right. That's a very big point because when we design something, we want to make sure it gets built exactly like we designed it. And when we work with the client very closely on its specific details, because the clients have a lot of knowledge and a lot of thoughts on what they really want. And for us to bring that to fruition for them makes them really happy. Right. We've had some very, very difficult situations to solve for clients that we have. And at the end, they go, wow, I can't believe you guys did that. So, I mean, it's really nice to get that feedback from them and know that they're happy with the final product. Right.
Absolutely. And the process, everything is a process, and the process
Absolutely.
of finding a contractor itself is one in itself. You know, so when a homeowner's looking to, I mean, everyone's, and I actually suggest, don't talk to just one person, you know, talk to a number of people. It's an interview process because whoever's going to be in your home, they're going to be in your home. They're going to be there by themselves. They're going to be with other people. You know, you want to know who you're working with. But what tips can you offer homeowners and just South Florida in general for what they should know to ask when looking to hire a contractor?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of real important points for that. The first one is, you know, do you have experience working on this type of project? For instance, there may be a lot of guys out there that go out on their own and have done like commercial office spaces. Well, and then they want to go do residential. Well, I can tell you residential is a completely different ballgame from a commercial application. And there's so many, especially when you're dealing with older homes. Like for instance, we deal from anything from Weston all the way to the ocean.
Right.
And we have, you know, condos that were built in the 50s without air conditioning to newer homes that are falling apart after 5 to 10 years. And then everything in between. So we have a knowledge of different neighborhoods throughout Broward County of what houses are what kind of foundation systems, plumbing systems, you know, everything involved with the house. So, you know, if a contractor is coming in for an interview, you want to make sure that they have the experience of working on your type of house, your type of conditions, your type of age, or a condo, for instance, that they're familiar with working in condos, because that's a whole different ball game as well. You know, you can only work certain hours of the day. You don't have access for dumpsters like you do on a house. There's all these little intricacies that you have to be knowledgeable of and what to expect. The second thing is, you know, how long have they been in business? You know, do they have a good track record? You know, do they have an office, or do they work out of their truck?
Right, exactly.
But the biggest thing is, you know, do they have a license? That's meaning a general contractor's license, or there's different grades of licenses. There's residential license up to like, I think it's 2 or 3 stories. There's all different grades. So you want to make sure that they're licensed for your job. Not only that, you want to make sure they're insured, and also workers' comp. And I'll give you, for instance, a lot of people hire people who aren't insured. And let's just say they're putting a drywall screw in and hit a water line and flood your house. Okay, they're not insured. Okay, who's going to pay for that, all that flooding and damage? I mean, maybe the homeowner's insurance. However, you know, these guys, what if somebody gets hurt on a job site and they don't have workers' comp with the state? they're liable. I don't get into the legalities of it because I'm not a lawyer, but there's all the things that you want to make sure that, and not only do you ask, but you want to see the actual insurance certificate from their insurance company that shows that they have insurance and workers' comp, and a copy of their state license. And sometimes there's also a county license. So you want to make sure that they have those. Let me just see if I can think of anything else. There's probably a couple. And references. You brought this up. Definitely, definitely ask around for references. Again, like I said, that's how we get a lot of our work, because our past clients give our names to new clients, and referrals are the best. So if someone comes to you via for referral because they've done a couple of jobs, and also follow up with phone calls to those people to make sure that they did a good job, that they kept the site clean and organized, and did show up most days that they were supposed to be there, and just made sure that they were serving the client the way they were supposed to. Also, a lot of people will call a contractor, and the contractor won't say, well, you need to get an architect first. What some of them will say is, well, I work with an architect very closely. He does a lot of our drawings for our design, so I will introduce you to him. We've had instances where the architect was introduced to the people and they didn't like him, so the contractor didn't end up getting the job.
Right.
So there has to be some cohesiveness there, and you have to feel comfortable with the people, like you said, they're going to come into your house on a daily basis, pet the dog, make sure everything's locked up at the end of the day, and keeping the site clean, because you might have kids or dogs or other animals, running around the house. So those are some important things that you always want to ask.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, like a lot of the items that you touched on, especially the insurance, a lot of people, they may have heard of, look for insurance, ask for the, make sure that they're covered, make sure they have workman's comp, but they don't really understand why they need to ask those questions. It's to prevent what could happen. Anything can happen on a construction site. Doesn't mean that they're good or not. Things happen, but it's just a matter of what the contractor does after the fact, and the fact that they're covered. So, asking the right questions, but just doing your homework, that's it's obviously so important. And I know, we've spoken about it in the past, people must come to you with these big dreams. They live in whatever neighborhood, might be an older neighborhood, setbacks, there's all property lines and everything. Just because they have the amount of space that they think that they can put a structure on, say if they want to expand their home or whatever it might be. When it comes to building codes and surveys and things like that, who dictates, and really who's the deciding factor for, when, telling what is acceptable and what's not when it comes to codes?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question too. I mean, people don't understand. There's basically one code, and it's the state of Florida building code.
Okay.
People think that each city and each county have their own. I mean, they think that Broward and Dade have their own code. They do have amendments to the code,
right,
but there's one universal code, and it's the state of Florida building code. And that was developed after Hurricane Andrew, because there was so much damage. And they decided, probably in the mid 90s after that, is when they went to a complete state code. It used to be a Dade County code, a Broward County code, a Palm Beach code. Now it's universal throughout the state. Now there are certain elements of the code that some counties have the right to change in an amendment. So they do that. So we do. Sometimes we'll get calls and say, well, will the county let me to do this? And I say, well, the county has nothing to do with this. This is the city of Fort Lauderdale.
Right. Absolutely.
The next step is, a lot of times people will buy a home, call us, and then go, hey, we really want to do this addition over here, and I want to remove this beam here. And I'm like, well, you can't do that addition because your house is already at the setback. And what a setback is your property lines, for your property, the zoning department for each municipality, say Fort Lauderdale, Miramar, Plantation, Davie, any municipality, they have in their zoning code what the setbacks are for your house, meaning where a wall could be built, meaning they have a front setback, which is from the property line to the front of your house, a side setback, which is your side yard to the face of your house, and a rear yard setback, which is from the rear property line to the back of whatever. So what happens is, it's always best, people call me and go, I want to do this addition. I go, well, did you talk to the zoning department? And they go, no. So we'll make some calls to the zoning department, find out what the setbacks are. And if we can tell them that, yes, you have enough room to do that with your setback, so we can talk a little bit more. But sometimes we have to say, sorry, but your house is right at the setback, so you can't build out the 15 feet that you want. And then we also have instances where people buy houses and then they call us and they go, well, I want to remove this beam. And I'm like, well, you can't, because that's holding up your second floor.
Right.
So we try to get, when people are looking to buy houses or even look at properties to build houses,
Right.
we always recommend, hey, can we come out and look at it with you before you close on that? Because you may have some idea what you want to do and it may not be doable.
That's an incredible point, because the thing is, like, a lot of people, especially with older homes, they buy a property because they like the property and they like the location, but they're buying it because of what they think the house can be. Right. So just because someone has a dream and they want it to look a certain way or add on square footage or add on a second floor doesn't mean it's always necessarily possible. So, going back to doing your homework, that's a great point, because, I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed after the fact.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
It really does, because a lot of your new developments, you only have like a 10 or 15-foot setback, and people say, well, I want to add a master bedroom suite on the back here, and I go,
right,
yeah, and there's also a requirement for what they call lot coverage too, like in plantation acres, for instance. When you have a house on plantation acres, 50% of the natural grade around your house, the requirement is that you keep 50% of natural grade around your house. So you can only build and have a berm up to 50% of your property. Gotcha. So I had a gentleman call me from Switzerland who was buying a house in Plantation. He wanted to do about 1,200 square foot addition. So I called the engineering company that, I know works with, it's called PAID, Plantation Acres Improvement District, and said, can I get a copy of their approved plan? And sure enough, they were at 50% already. So they couldn't even do an addition if they wanted to.
Wow. And, talking about additions and, obviously different types of, structural changes that someone might be able to or want to do to their home, have you found certain trends that truly really benefit the property value? Are there certain things that you would recommend, or just different things that you've seen in general that have become, more popular in the sense of remodeling and additions and things like that?
Sure. Well, the trend right now, as everybody's renovating a lot of these older homes. Right. Especially on the east side, Fort Lauderdale, Victoria Park, the whole east side area from Pompano all the way down. There's, people are asking for more open plans, more open kitchens, adding on family rooms. And this COVID virus issue has so many more people working from home. It's created a whole new environment, because now they need a space that's quiet, that they can do their Zoom meetings and other, phone calls with. And, that's changed the dynamic. Right. So we've gotten calls for, hey, we need to do an house addition for an office, or I need to do a new workout room, and I'm going to turn this bedroom into an office. So they cut and paste a lot of stuff in their homes. So that's been a big change. But the things that when you're renovating a home, the biggest sellers, of course, are renovated kitchens, master bathrooms, flooring, kids' bathrooms, roofing if the roofing's old. A lot of times it's just an upgrade of the exterior of the house because it looked old. A lot of the older homes that were done in the 70s have these rock faces that they put on. So now go around town, you see all the rock coming off and houses being restuccoed clean to make a clean new look. So it's all trends. Everything goes through a trend. Maybe we'll see rock again in 20 years.
Everything that has gone out comes back. In particular, look at wallpaper when it comes to design.
Right, exactly.
Couldn't wait to rip it off. Now it's like, yeah, exactly. It's probably one of the biggest design trends out there. But, speaking to, Donna and her interior design services, and obviously when you're remodeling a home, you remodel it in such a way, but her expertise is also adding to the fact of showing people how they can use, whether it's an extra bedroom or just an open space to really add dual functionality. So you can design it within a certain amount of square footage, but having the interior design aspect and the expertise in that respect really brings everything full circle. So it's not like you build a home or a remodel and then it's like, okay, well, now you have to figure out what to do with it.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of that. About 8-9 months ago, I got a call for a couple in Emerald Hills, and they have an older home, and the bedroom side of the house was 1,600 square feet. The previous owners had done 2 additions to it.
Wow.
And it was 1,600 square feet just for the bedroom area, but they had 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in there. And the owner called and said, well, I want to do an addition. And I go, well, why? And she said, well, I want another bedroom and bathroom for when my parents come stay with us a couple of months a year.
Right.
And I said, well, you have enough room here to do what you need to do already. You don't need an addition.
Right.
And Donna met with them, totally redesigned it, came up with a great plan, 4 bedroom, 3 bathrooms. And in the parents' bathroom, we did a roll-in shower because they're aging in place a little bit.
Right.
So we accommodated certain design features for the elderly. We opened up the back of the house that no one could see the beautiful pool and the golf course and the canal behind it.
That's amazing.
We put in a 28-foot steel beam to open up what was a bearing wall between the original house and the addition.
Right.
And open that up for the master bedroom. And the client is just thrilled because we didn't have to do an addition.
Right.
It's all done inside. So,
and that actually goes to, making sure that you're working with the right person, because just because someone tells you, I want an addition for this purpose, there might be more cost-effective ways to be able to achieve what they're looking for, that they're just thinking, okay, this is my space. The only way for me to achieve it is adding more, square footage. So, that comes back to, the fact that working with a true professional knows how to work with square footage.
And Donna's really terrific at that. And it's really, another great story is, a lot of times we'll have a client do a drawing of what they want, and it's all scribbled, and it's kind of fun to look at. We don't criticize it, and we'll say, well, I'll tell you what, let us take it back to the office, your plans of your house, because we always draw up a new plan of that existing house, and then Donna will sit and come up with some, like 2, maybe 3 options in some case, and we'll go back to them and we'll say, well, here's option 1, 2, and 3, and they go, wow, I never thought of that. And I'm like, well, that's why we do what we do.
Right.
You're hiring us for our expertise and the service that we provide, because we that's what we do.
Right.
And it makes them so much happier because they didn't think of that, because that's not what they do. That's
exactly. And you've seen it over and over. I mean, you work on so many different projects, and when there's something hidden behind a wall that nobody knew was there, I mean, chances are you've seen it or something similar to, so that way you know how to address it, in the best ways. But, going back to, because in-law suites and extensions and even, adding second floors, I just wanted to touch back on, like, so if someone wanted to add a second floor, how can that be done?
I get this call probably at least once a week. It's funny because what I'll do is I'll go to Google Maps, I'll look at their house, and I go, where do you want to do it? And they go, oh, just, the east or west side of the house or north or south. I go, well, okay, so let me explain the process. I said, first of all, we have to take your whole roof off, and then in between your trusses, there's always electrical, there's air conditioning ducts, there's insulation. And when we take your roof off, chances are it's going to rain. So are we going to gut the interior of your existing house, or are you going to try to keep that kitchen that you really like?
We do live in Florida, so.
Right, we do live in Florida, and we do have rains this time of year.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, though. We did a 2-story second phase addition to a house that we renovated 3 years prior, and we had designed it for that phase 2.
Right.
So we knew we were going to take the roof off of the garage area. We were going to expand the roof, and we did it we try to do it in the winter when you don't have a lot of rain, from December to February. And we got so lucky because we did the whole second floor framing and dry-in about 3 to 4 weeks, and we had 1 rain, and we were able to, with our tarps, we were able to keep it dry.
Right.
But people don't realize that there's a time limit for once you take off a roof, it takes time to put a new second floor with walls and a new roof on. And not only that, when you're doing something like that, a lot of these older homes have minimal foundations. So the foundations aren't even designed to carry the load of a second floor.
Right.
So we did this in Hawks Landing and Plantation a couple of years ago, where we had to dig under and reinforce the existing foundations. They had a 3-car garage, and we were able to just take the roof off the 3-car garage and build it up. Again, we had like 1 or 2 rains. We had a little bit of leaking, but nothing major. So we
You're
were
able to manage it right.
Yeah, and we try to do that during that time of year. We tell clients we're not doing this in June and July and August. That's for sure.
Right.
But it is a process, and it's a lot of planning, a lot of organization, but it's doable for sure. But people just don't understand, the complexity of it.
Right. Absolutely. And then talking about it, expanding, or, the additions in particular, we live here in Florida. There's so many different soil conditions everywhere.
Right.
What can you tell us when it comes to, different areas of, well, obviously South Florida to other parts of Florida that, expectation, like whether you're out west, you might hit muck, or, different things that you might have to do when it comes to expanding or adding an addition to your home.
Yeah, just give you an example. A pretty large house renovation addition we did right behind the Galleria Mall in Fort Lauderdale. That whole land behind the Galleria Mall was fill from the waterways behind it.
Okay.
So it's all bad soil. So whenever you start a job, when designing a job, let's put it that way, we always have to get soil borings. That's the number one thing that we do, because that soil boring report, first of all, it's required when you put in your drawings for permit. And second, it tells us what the soil conditions are, because when we're designing the foundations with our structural engineer, we need to know if we're doing pilings, what's called a spread footer, or a monolithic slab.
Okay.
So we'll go from one extreme, which was behind the Galleria Mall, where we had to do pilings 28 feet down so we hit rock to support, the house. When you do pilings, it's like a waiter holding up a tray, like your fingers. So the pilings act as like the fingers here act like a piling that hits solid rock, and then what sits on top of it, is not going to go anywhere. But everything in between is bad dirt, but it doesn't matter because it's sitting on a solid foundation, basically. So then you can go into somewhere like Plantation, or even like Victoria Park, or some other parts of Fort Lauderdale, where you only have about a foot of bad soil. Okay. So basically we take that bad soil out, and we do our new foundations, and we just put clean soil in. But you go anywhere, like we're working with someone right now in Hollywood for an addition, and we have to go down 15 feet with pilings.
Right.
So in Southwest Ranches and some other areas of like Davie and Plantation Acres also have really bad muck or bad soil. So that's why it's so important to get a soil boring, because we need that information. So
that's a good point. And I'm assuming, this part of the unknown could add a huge expense to what the overall.
Oh, absolutely. Piling's at an incredible expense to a job, especially if they have to go deep.
Right, exactly. And one thing that I kind of wanted to come back just to reiterate, that I know you'll have a great answer for, is, just tell us why we really should be working with permits. Because I know a lot of people try to do projects where, they're trying to cut out the permitting process because they think they're saving somewhere, but really it doesn't always work out that way. Can you just explain why are permits so important?
Yeah, we see it all the time with a lot of people that buy houses to flip houses. They try to do it without a permit. And I can't tell you how many houses I've been into where the plumbing was done incorrectly. The electrical was definitely done. We've seen electrical that we pulled out of walls that was done with speaker wire. We've seen everything you can imagine, because, somebody who's not really qualified to do what they did it. It was hired by the owner thinking that it was okay. And the permits, the other trend that we're seeing is a lot of banks, when you're doing closings or looking to buy a house or even sell a house, one of the questions they'll ask you, and you have to tell the truth, is, have you done any improvements to your house? And, someone can walk in and see that an improvement was done.
Looks different from before.
Right. And if you say, and if something was done without a permit, the bank will not close on your project.
Wow.
They will walk away, because, and we've had people call us, hey, I was trying to sell my house. I need an architect to certify that what was built is to code. And we can't, because we can't see everything. We don't know how it's wired. We don't know how the walls were anchored, if it's concrete or wood. So it's so important to get a permit. It's also for the, when we go through our process, we get everything inspected.
Right.
for every phase of the work that we do, from the slab all the way up to even the dirt work gets inspected, all the way up to the roof and the finishes.
Right.
It's for your protection to have an inspector from the municipality come in, make sure that things are done right. Because if they're not, he'll flag it and make sure it is done right. It's for your protection.
And I was just going to say, like, 100%, because it's what keeps the industry honest. Because there's a greater power of somebody, looking over these projects to make sure, because homeowners don't know. They don't know the difference of different materials or what should be done. So permits are really to protect the homeowner. So, I can't stress it enough. Everybody, when things need permits, make sure you get them.
Yeah, I remember one specific thing. A lot of times there's new type of plumbing waste lines being used.
Right.
And some cities don't allow it because it's not really like typical, like 4-inch or 3-inch PVC is what we typically use for our waste lines for our houses. And some plumbing contractor came in there with this new type of pipe that some municipalities do allow. And the inspector went in there and said, absolutely not, take it out.
Wow.
We don't allow it, because they know it's going to be a problem down the line for the homeowner.
Right.
And also, just things like stucco, for instance. The insurance companies now are watching builders because a lot of them are trying to skimp by only putting like 1/4 inch of stucco on a house when it should be almost 3/4 inch.
Exactly.
And you get a lot of water infiltration through those walls over time because that's not enough stucco on a house.
Right.
And so the inspectors are there for a purpose. I mean, when you pay for your permit, you're paying for that time of the inspector to come out to review your work to make sure it conforms to the intent of the Florida Building Code.
Exactly.
And it is a protection.
Right. 100%. And, we've discussed a lot today. And I know I'm more well-informed, but I can surely say that, everybody watching this and, definitely comment on this video, because Stan will always be able to answer your questions. But, for everything that we've covered today, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you really feel that's important for homeowners or, even industry professionals, like, obviously just learning a little bit today?
How much time you got?
Hey, right? We could probably go all day.
Yeah. There's so many factors. The biggest thing is really, when you're looking to buy a home or renovate a home, you want to do it right. Because in the long term, the money that you put into it will be a good quality product. I mean, the home is like one of the largest investments of your life.
Right.
So why would you skimp on a home? Why would you not want a professional in there doing it right so that you feel comfortable that, you're not going to have any problems down the road?
And something that you touched on, you can do it in phases. It doesn't all have to be done at one time. So, if you have a budget, work with your budget to do what, is best in a phased out completion. So, well, I mean, to me, everything that this really leads to is, what's the best contact information? Because I'm sure people are going to have questions. How do people receive a consultation from you?
They can just call our office at 954-236-9660. They can go to our website. It's just www.f as in Frank, L as in Larry, like Florida, builders, BUILDERS.com. There's a contact form on there. They can fill it out, send it to us if they've got questions or want to discuss a project. Also on House, we're on there. Instagram, Facebook, we're pretty much cover all the areas.
So, obviously, Stan, I can't thank you enough for all of your time and all the information that you provided us today.
Sure.
For everyone out there, you can always tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. to find the latest tips, trends, information, and inspiration from some of the best professionals right here in South Florida. You can check out our website at homeshows.net, our social media at FL Home Shows. And Stan, again, thank you so much for today. And until next time, we'll see you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks so much. And remember, subscribe.
Absolutely.